In a world that often feels loud and hurried, sometimes the most profound moments happen in the quietest corners, seen by no one. This is one of those stories. It was a cold, rainy evening. The streets were nearly empty, but a small corner cafe glowed warmly in the dark. Inside, the owner, Mr. Howard, was humming to himself while wiping down the counter. That morning, he'd installed a new security camera, a tiny discreet one right above the cash register. He hadn't told anyone about it. It was just a small measure for peace of mind. Around 7, the bell over the door chimed softly. A young woman named Lena walked in. She looked to be in her early 20s, wrapped in a well-worn jacket, her hair damp from the rain. Despite looking a bit worn down by the weather, she offered a gentle smile. "Evening," she said softly. "Just a small coffee, please." Lena carefully counted out a handful of crumpled bills and coins, every cent accounted for. It was clear she didn't have much to spare. Mr. Howard noticed, but simply smiled kindly as he handed her the steaming cup. "Rough weather tonight," he remarked. She gave a faint smile back. "Yeah, but it's warm in here. That's good enough for me." She found a small table by the window and sat, sipping her coffee slowly, occasionally jotting notes in a small notebook. To the other customers, she was just another face, a passerby seeking refuge from the cold. As the hours passed, the cafe emptied out. Lena remained, her cup long empty, her hands wrapped around it as if to draw out the last bit of warmth. By 9 o'clock, Mr. Howard began his closing routine, dimming the lights and heading to the back. He didn't notice Lena was still there, lost in thought. And that's when it happened. The cafe was silent, save for the rhythmic tapping of rain against the window. Lena stood up and glanced around. Her eyes settled on the tip jar by the register, half full with the day's gratitude. She hesitated, her hand even reaching out slightly before pulling back. Her face was a mix of exhaustion and something deeper, something sad. To anyone watching, it might have looked like a moment of temptation, but she thought no one was watching. After a long, quiet moment, she reached into her own small wallet. Inside was her last $5 bill. She stared at it, her lips trembling slightly, as if debating with herself. Then, with a quiet resolve, she carefully, gently placed the bill into the tip jar. She didn't do it for show. She did it as if it were a secret. And she whispered, almost to herself, "For someone who needs it more than me." The new camera, silent and unseen, recorded it all. Lena gathered her things, gave the empty cafe one last look, and stepped back out into the rain, disappearing down the dark street. She didn't know that her small, selfless act had been captured. She was just thinking about the kindness others had shown her, the stranger who offered an umbrella, the woman who bought her a sandwich. She was simply paying it forward, expecting nothing in return. The next morning, when Mr. Howard reviewed the security footage, he couldn't believe what he saw. In a world where so many are quick to take, this young woman with almost nothing to her name chose to give. This story is a beautiful reminder, isn't it? It shows that true character is what you do when you think no one is watching. Lena's quiet act of kindness proves that goodness still flourishes in the small, unseen corners of our world. A quiet testament to the enduring power of the human heart. The next morning started just like any other for Mr. Howard. The rich aroma of coffee filled his small cafe as the sun streamed through the windows, and the city outside slowly woke up. He unlocked the door, flipped the sign to open, and started his daily routine. But today, something was different. The night before, he'd installed his very first security camera. It was a simple little thing, perched just above the counter mainly to keep an eye on things. He smiled as he opened his laptop to check the test footage, not expecting anything more than the usual nightly cleanup. He clicked play. The screen showed the quiet, dimly lit cafe. Then, around 9 p.m., he saw her, Lena, the quiet girl from the evening shift. She was alone, finishing her coffee. He watched as she stood up, glanced around, and walked toward the counter. For a split second, Mr. Howard's heart sank. Her eyes locked onto the tip jar, and her hand hovered near it. "Oh no," he murmured, disappointed. "Not her. She seemed so kind." But then, The unexpected happened. She reached into her own pocket, pulled out a folded bill, and gently placed it into the jar. There was no rush, no nervous glance. Just a soft, almost sad smile as she whispered something. Curious, Mr. Howard leaned closer to the screen and turned up the volume. Her voice was faint, but the camera caught it. For someone who needs it more than me. He froze, staring at the screen in disbelief. He replayed the clip. And then again. She wasn't taking. She was giving. He sat back, speechless, a lump forming in his throat. That girl, he whispered. She has so little, yet she gave what she had. He thought about her old, worn jacket and how carefully she counted her coins for her coffee. She was barely getting by, and still, she gave. Later that morning, he gathered his staff. "You need to see this," he said, playing the footage. A quiet awe fell over the room. "That's beautiful," one of the waitresses, Maya, whispered. Mr. Howard nodded. "It is." And she didn't know anyone was watching. They all agreed they had to do something for her. "She helped others quietly," Maya said. "Maybe it's our turn to help her quietly too." That evening, on a whim, Mr. Howard uploaded a short blurred clip of the moment to social media. He wrote, "A young woman came into my cafe last night. She didn't suspect there was a camera. What she did will remind you that kindness still exists." He didn't expect much. But within hours, his phone was buzzing nonstop. The video went viral. People were calling her the girl with the kind heart and the angel of the cafe. News channels reached out and comments flooded in from all over the world. This brought tears to my eyes. Faith in humanity restored. The cafe's phone rang off the hook with people wanting to help her, offering gifts and even jobs, but Mr. Howard kept her identity a secret. She didn't do this for attention, he explained. She did it because it was right. Still, he knew she deserved to see the incredible wave of positivity her simple act had started. He waited, hoping she'd return. A few days later, she did. She walked in wearing the same old jacket, with the same shy smile, and ordered her usual coffee. She seemed a little surprised when everyone in the cafe smiled warmly at her, but she had no idea why. Mr. Howard's heart raced. This was it. Before he said a word, he just watched her for a moment as she sat in her corner, peacefully sipping her coffee, completely unaware of the storm of kindness she had created. The camera had captured what the world so often misses, a pure, selfless act from a beautiful soul who thought no one was watching. Little did she know her life was about to change forever. For 3 days, the cafe was unusually quiet. The sun cast a soft golden glow on the empty tables, and Mr. Howard, the owner, stood behind the counter, watching the door. He was waiting, hoping she'd return. Every time the little bell above the door jingled, his heart leaped with anticipation. Finally, on the third morning, it happened. Lena walked in. She wore the same worn-out jacket and had the same tired but gentle smile. Carrying her small bag, her steps were light but uncertain. She ordered her usual small coffee, thanked the barista politely, and settled into her regular seat by the window. She had no idea what had happened. She was completely unaware that millions of people around the world had witnessed her quiet moment of kindness. Mr. Howard took a deep breath, wiped his hands on his apron, and walked over to her table. "Morning, Lena," he said kindly. She looked up, a small smile forming on her face. "Oh, hello, Mr. Howard. You remembered my name?" "I could never forget," he replied with a soft chuckle. "Mind if I sit for a moment?" "Of course not," she said, gesturing to the chair opposite her. He sat down, pausing for a moment, just looking at the young woman who had slipped a few dollars into a tip jar, without expecting anything in return. "Lena," he began, "I need to show you something." Her brow furrowed in confusion. "Show me what?" He pulled out his phone and played the video. The footage showed her at the counter, glancing around before discreetly placing a folded bill into the jar. Her expression shifted instantly from confusion to shock, then embarrassment, and finally fear. "Oh no," she whispered, her hand flying to her mouth. "You had a camera? I didn't know." I swear I didn't mean to. He raised a hand gently to reassure her. It's all right, Lena. You didn't do anything wrong. In fact, you did something wonderful. Her eyes, wide with confusion, darted to his. Wonderful? Mr. Howard smiled warmly. You didn't just put money in a jar, you reminded people that goodness still exists. I shared the video online and, well, it's gone viral. Millions have seen it. Lena froze, her face pale. What? No, I didn't do it for anyone to see. I just wanted to help a little. I didn't think... I know, he said gently, and that's what makes it so beautiful. You weren't trying to impress anyone, you just cared. Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't think anyone would notice something so small. Sometimes, Mr. Howard said softly, the smallest things make the biggest difference. He reached into his pocket and handed her an envelope. This is for you. She blinked, surprised. What is it? People from all over the world saw your video, he explained. They were moved. They sent donations, messages, and letters. They wanted to thank you for reminding them that kindness is still alive. Lena's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a check and several printed messages from complete strangers. One read, Your kindness made me cry. Thank you for showing me that good people still exist. Another said, Your small act changed my day. I decided to help someone today because of you. Tears now fell freely down her cheeks. She pressed a hand over her heart and whispered, I don't deserve this. Yes, you do, Mr. Howard insisted. You gave when you had little. That's something truly special. Lena, for the first time, was speechless. She looked down at the envelope, then back up at him. Thank you, she whispered. I don't know what to say. Say nothing, he replied kindly. Just promise me you'll keep being yourself. That day, Lena accepted a part-time job at the cafe, not for the attention, but to be in the place where kindness had found its way back to her. The cafe started to fill with new faces, people who had seen the video and wanted to meet the girl who gave without knowing. But Lena never changed. She lived simply, gave quietly, and believed that kindness didn't need an audience to be real. Months passed, and the story, which reporters called the coffee shop miracle, spread even further. One rainy evening after closing, Lena stood by the window. Mr. Howard joined her. Funny how things work out, isn't it? He said. She smiled softly. Yeah, I never thought a camera would see that moment. He chuckled. And yet maybe the world needed to see it. Lena turned to him. Do you think kindness spreads like that? Like a chain? He nodded. I think that's exactly how it works. Outside, the rain fell gently, but inside, two people stood smiling. Proof that the smallest, most silent act of kindness can echo louder than words, changing everything once the world finally sees it.